we always I think a nice idea, folks, is that we take inspiration from Spencer's Soapbox articles to talk about things on the show, but I like those articles to sit on the web for a little while. I like people to read them, to formulate comments, formulate their own opinions, and then we'll come in with some closing sermons about it. So on that thought, a couple of weeks ago, Spencer launched Spencer's Soapbox with an article on Warner Brothers' Suicide Squad movie and why it's so important. Certainly, as far as comic book movie news, it's the one that's in the news right now because of all the casting race that's going on, that Tom Hardy has dropped out of the picture. I did a triple take when I first found out he was even going to be in it, so I'm not entirely shocked that he's not going to be anymore. But we're not going to talk about casting races here, that's boring. We're just going to talk about the movie, why it's so important, and what we hope and dream it's going to be. But first of all, Spencer, what the fuck is Suicide Squad?
Well, Suicide Squad has an interesting history because it started, I believe its first publication, it was first appeared in a publication in the 50s. And back then it was just sort of a military group. It was regular people, no superpowers or anything, but they would go up against maybe villains that had superpowers, or maybe dinosaurs, or sort of a pulpy title, more of an adventure.
I just love how offhand Spencer said that. They'd occasionally fight some dinosaurs if they were in the mood.
Well, you know how these things work in comic books. Sometimes there are dinosaurs.
True. It's true.
In the late 80s, a comic book writer named John Ostrander rebooted the Suicide Squad, but he did it in a different way. He took the name, but it kept the name, but changed it up to where it was supervillains that were working to not necessarily redeem themselves like Marvel's Thunderbolts, but to they were placed on this squad to serve as penance for their punishment. So if they served for so long on the Suicide Squad, they would be able to walk out free men from, however long their sentence was. So, say for instance Deadshot, who has been a member since it was first sort of rebooted, say he was in prison for 50 years for whatever nefarious thing he might have done. If he serves on the Suicide Squad for 5 years, then once that's done, he doesn't have to serve his 50 years. So, and, the name comes from the fact that they take on missions that should result in their death, so hence the name, Suicide Squad.
It's delicious. It is a delicious premise, and the more I thought about it after Spencer's article, and I did some reading on it, and I just realised that, my ignorance led me to think, oh man, this is Thunderbolts, but basically they're beating Thunderbolts to the punch because Marvel Studios isn't doing Thunderbolts yet, and I'll talk about Thunderbolts in a little bit. But I realised, yeah, Spencer's right, it's not really about that, it's about something really, really cool. See, Thunderbolts, folks, and what I love about Thunderbolts is Thunderbolts are a bunch of heroes that come into the Marvel Universe when all of the Marvel superheroes are dead. You can't see me, but I'm doing dead in inverted commas because you know what that means in the Marvel Universe. But they're basically MIA. So this new superhero team comes in, which look pretty boring, but they're really, really cool and cocky, and they love attention. And so they actually bask in the adoration that the public gives them, and then it turns out that they are actually supervillains. They are Baron Zemo and the Masters of Evil, and they have basically hoodwinked the entire planet, and now Baron Zemo is going to be able to conquer the Earth through public affection. It's friggin' genius. But of course the complicated thing that happens is these villains, and don't forget these villains are actually like C, D, E level tier characters. They're not. Yes. they're bottom rung. We're not talking like Doc Ock and people like that. No, they're kind of forgettable. And all of a sudden, they go from being losers who are constantly and easily defeated to guys who, really, really see the appeal of being good, of being loved, of being adored. They actually start to have a change of heart. But are they going to actually become real heroes? I'm making it sound so horrible and cheesy, but it's a delicious series. But that isn't Suicide Squad. I mean, what would you say would be the key difference between Thunderbolts and Suicide Squad?
Well, I think the difference is that Thunderbolts, the villains are looking for redemption. They don't want to be the bad guys anymore, and that has to do with them being C and D level villains. Is that they're so tired of being stepped on for being terrible villains that they want to make up for that and see how they can be heroes. Whereas Suicide Squad, I think they're all content in being evil and nasty. And just as a fact, I just looked it up. The Thunderbolts appeared. I think that's 8 years after the Suicide Squad started.
That's correct.
The rebooted Suicide Squad, that is.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Suicide Squad, the movie, should come first because they had the idea, the basic idea first. It's very, very cool. Now, really what we want to talk about, of course, is what the basis of your article, Spencer. Why is this movie so important in the mosaic that we hope the DC cinematic universe will be? And why is it coming so soon? Like, this is like the, this is the property that, a lot of people, including myself, never even heard of till they announced it, and we're all scratching our heads and then we said, I better find out about this. This ain't Green Lantern, this ain't Aquaman, this isn't Teen Titans. What is this? So why are they picking it to go in the DC canon film universe so quickly, and why is it so important?
Well, I wish I had an answer for why they chose this one as the next one. But I think that to attribute why they chose this, I think it comes down to, again, Marvel is the reason, and specifically it's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a property that the general public had never heard of. So when they can turn around and make that into one of the most beloved movies of the year, and then one of the top grossing movies of the year, I think that puts pressure on their competitors to try something different. Not necessarily that they have to do it, but when they realize that audiences are okay with sort of these outlandish ideas that come from comic books, they realize that you don't have to play it safe anymore. You don't have to do origin movies for all your heroes. You can try something kind of strange like the Suicide Squad.
Right. I would like to think on a superficial level, they're just saying, okay, team-up movies work, rapscallion characters that aren't necessarily good and true and into defending truth and justice and all that are in right now. Quirkiness is in right now, but I hope that superficial choosing of Suicide Squad is actually going to help bring us something that's quite different from anything that we've seen. And what I realised as I was reading more and more about it is that it is a fantastic in to the DC cinematic universe. I'm assuming, Spencer, and I could be completely wrong about this, but it seems to me that taking a cue from Batman vs Superman, we're dealing with a Batman which is certainly established. We're dealing with a veteran character. So you can imagine, as we go into that movie, it's a Batman who's had many adventures, fought many villains, and we're not going to have too many origin stories here. We're going to be dealing with a lot of characters like Harley Quinn, for example, like the Joker, who are going to be in the Suicide Squad movie, that he's already fought and dealt with. And I guess, origin stories even for the villains are out. We're just going to have something where, and I imagine, I'm scared in a way that it is going to be really riffing off Guardians, in that we're going to meet these guys in jail. We're going to get the usual suspects lineup. We're going to get the biography. We might even get what's-his-name doing the narration.
John C. Reilly.
Thank you so much. Yeah, they might even bring him in, and that's what I'm worried about. Yeah, I won't worry about it too much because I feel like, why not? Let's just cut to the chase and have a great movie. Let's not spend a whole bunch of time, introducing these villains and having them caught and then having them sentenced and then having them all recruited individually. Let's just meet them really quickly. Let's get to the adventure and let's find out about them as this story goes. Do you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The formation, the Suicide Squad should already be a thing by the time the movie starts, I think. But then the characters that are in the film are the ones that they're just, some of them will be just joining for the first time. And it'll probably end up being where it's probably going to be Deadshot will be I would guess is going to be the audience POV because Will Smith's playing him, and he's I guess he's the one they're betting all their chips on as the lead. Mm-hmm. And even beyond Deadshot, Joker, and Harley Quinn is you have Captain Boomerang, who's a member of the Suicide Squad and is a Flash villain. And what's peculiar about that is that the Flash, he'll probably be in the Justice League film, but he won't be in his own movie until 2018. So, it's interesting to see, like, maybe the Flash will appear at the end of Batman vs. Superman, but they're going to have to talk, if he's not, they're going to have to talk about him in Suicide Squad, since Captain Boomerang has definitely gone up against him.
No, of course. Obviously, that brings up another mention. You were talking about Deadshot, that he will be the in for the audience. A lot of people, I think, certainly myself, assumed, and this was just because I was reading the articles, I was completely ignorant about Suicide Squad, and I apologise, folks. I thought that, okay, well, if the Joker's going to be in it, are we saying the Joker is going to be leading a team of guys? That's really what I thought for a second, and I feel bad about that because that's such a stupid idea. But I guess if Deadshot is the hero, then the Joker is the villain. Is that right?
I think that's how it'll play out. But there are some rumors now floating about the script that point to another character, who I won't mention, potentially being the villain, but also that the Joker is kind of a Hannibal Lecter role in the film, and that he's in prison and maybe they go to him for information or advice, but he's not a field team member like the rest of them are.
Right. Actually, you know what? The more I think about it, I feel like that's a great idea, because I've been thinking, obviously, okay, we're in a position with the Joker. Look, the Joker, I think he's a hard character to screw up. I can't even think of a Joker appearance in media, period, that I haven't enjoyed. He's a great character. He's always fun. There's so many different ways to play him. But certainly, for the general audience, we're in a position right now where we've got two iconic Joker performances on film. One is bad enough. Imagine if, Roger Moore was playing James Bond and there have been two Sean Connerys before him. That's the kind of thing we're dealing with here. So I feel like if he's just going to make a short appearance in Suicide Squad, it's a great way of testing the water, both with Jared Leto and both with the character, to see, okay, is he going to work in this context? Is the audience going to want more of him? And of course, is there any doubt in our mind, Spencer? They're going to say, yes, more Joker. I wanted more Joker in this movie. That's what the principal complaint's going to be.
Oh, definitely. And even branching out of Joker is that this is the first time that someone will have played Harley Quinn in a live-action movie. Someone's played her in the short-lived Birds of Prey show that was on the CW, but that wasn't so much the actual Harley Quinn. It was a version of Harley Quinn. So. And I think that's one reason a character that people are going to be drawn to this movie is that, Batman fans know about Harley Quinn because she's had a big presence in the Arkham games, and, she was in the cartoon that everybody likes. So, and with an actress like Margot Robbie playing her, that's going to be a draw for people, I think. And, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out on the big screen because we've never seen it before.
I agree. In fact, I was quite shocked talking to friends over the years who I assumed had never read a Batman comic, had never seen Batman anything outside of the films, that actually she is an extremely well-known character in pop culture, period. Whether it's the character itself or just the geniusness of the name. Because it is a genius name. We take it for granted now, but it is an absolutely brilliant name. And it's a brilliant character. And yeah, I feel like I could go to my colleagues at work completely unashamedly and say, this movie that's going to be coming out, Harley Quinn's going to be in it. I wouldn't even have to say anything else, and they will immediately go, oh, they'll be yes, they will be interested right there. And especially, oh man, can you imagine if the scenes that you're talking about, these Joker scenes, if it's not, I was imagining before it's like the whole team in a room with him. Maybe it's not. In fact, it would seem silly, actually. It's probably just him and Harley together, right? That's what we want.
And that definitely gives them an opportunity to present flashbacks revealing her origin as, his psychiatrist who was swayed by his insanely devious mind and became who she was.
I hope that that's the kind of thing that they just hint at.
Yeah.
In the first movie, I hate flashbacks, Spencer. Very rarely do I find a flashback that I like, but Yeah, no, I think that that's going to be the way to go. Man, I'm so glad I talked to you about this. I'm really excited about it. I am really, really, really keen on it. I really, really hope it works, and I have every confidence that it's going to. And as much as I would have been looking forward to a Thunderbolts movie, I'll just put it in the back of my mind. I truly believe that they can still make that in Phase 4. I want them to do that. I'll talk about that another time, folks. Can you tell I'm a fan? But now...
We should do that one episode, our pitches for the Thunderbolts movie.
We're going to do that. Absolutely, we're going to do that. We'll be on that.